Here is our Sierra K2.
We're going to answer the question for you guys on whether or not the Sierra K2 is the van life kayak of your dreams.
That's a huge question.
We'll give you a rundown of the Sierra K2. We've used it this summer. Hopefully help you decide whether or not this is something that you want to buy.
If you would like to see our video where we used it in the Boundary Waters, it's up here.
So we're not going to drag you on for forever. We're going to get right into the review. So how about we bring this camera right here? You. Yes, you.
This is mostly what it came with. So the only thing that we bought separate that did not come with it is this pump, because we didn't want to use this hand pump that it came with. So while you are all set to use it when you first bring it out of the box, we were not going to work our little arms to death, so we got this electronic pump. Otherwise, we have paddles, seats, and then the kayak itself and the pump. Oh, and the bag it came in. We have used this thing 3-4 times now this year. We just bought it back in June. We are obviously not on the water to talk about this because it's fall and it's cold here in northern Colorado, so take it or leave it.
And realistically, the first big thing on whether or not this is the kayak for van life is the size. Now, this folds down into a pretty small box, which means that you can pretty much...
This size.
Which means that it doesn't take up a ton of space. Now, most inflatables also don't take up a ton of space. And if you're going to be in van life, you're going to need an inflatable. And realistically, what separates this to make it so much better or worse for van life? Let's inflate it, and then we'll dive into that specific point, why we think that this is probably the best inflatable you can get for van life.
Do you really think that?
Yeah, I do. So clearly this is not the configuration that, you paddle in, because that'd be really funny. Alicia clearly doesn't know if this is the best kayak for van life. And I actually think it is.
It is definitely a great starter inflatable kayak. I don't know what's on the market.
I didn't include the rider that goes on this. I think that this is the best kayak for budget van life.
I think that's fair.
This kayak, it's a 2-person kayak, which one person can control perfectly well. But this kayak is $134 on Amazon.
Like $100 at Walmart, which is pretty dang good.
Yep. That does not include life vests, so take that with a grain of salt, because you need life vests if you're going to be out on the water.
And it obviously did not include our electronic pump, which was an additional $25.
Yep. This might be the best budget kayak if you need to throw something in your van or your car for an outdoor adventure for a reasonable price. It does have its faults. I mean, they have to cut corners somewhere, right?
They can't just give you a $100 perfect product.
Yep. So, what's one of the big faults?
So one of the big faults is these seats. They kind of suck. They don't go up quite high. You have to strap them into these clips here. It's like the adjusting portion of it is not, it's not super great. We have made it across the bay.
My seat is
Lake.
deflated.
Your seat deflated.
Yeah.
And so the seats could really use some improvement, but they are manageable for short stints. I think on the longer paddles that we've done, we've started to complain.
Sucked. Actually, on the longer paddles, what I actually did was I ended up kneeling the whole time. So the paddles suck. The first thing to be upgraded on this would probably be the paddles. And if you really, really get after it on these paddles, they might break. There's a lot of flop.
I show you how to flip-flop the flop flips.
But they didn't break for us.
Little pieces that connect are not metal, so I have a feeling these will be one of the first things that break. Third and last thing that we don't like about the inflatable kayak is true for all inflatables. You have to put it away wet where you are, unless you're paddling to like a campsite or you have like all day to let it dry, which then leads to gross mold. So
which now we have to go clean with vinegar.
We have to clean this off because we did not realize it was so wet when we put it away last, and now when we've inflated it, we realize we have mold on it, which is absolutely disgusting.
The big upside to this is it's cheap, right? $120, $130, $100, depending on where you get it.
It was the same as if we were going to rent 2 kayaks. So it made more sense for us to buy one.
The nice part about it being that cheap is you don't necessarily have to be concerned about it dying. If this goes under, I mean, it's sad, it's $100, but as far as we're concerned, because we were going to rent kayaks, it's already paid for itself. That's a big plus.
Good for sunbathing.
This is made by Intex, which is an air mattress company. Now, this has one of the big flaws that all air mattresses share. The first time it's inflated, you're gonna have to inflate it twice because the plastic stretches. Whereas this is really durable. We ran aground 3 different times and we have no holes. So that's
Huge
a big
plus.
ups.
Then in our boundary water video, I want to point out, somebody in the comments was like, you should always take your hand pump with you.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And I was like, why did we not think of that? Would you buy it again?
Yeah, I'd buy it again.
100%.
Yep.
I would actually, if this popped for some reason, I would actually buy this again.
Yeah. Over a stand-up paddleboard.
Yes. Because we both fit in here.
Sure.
You don't have to be in the water. So the problem with paddleboards is you're probably going to get some like water lapping over you, especially places where you also have motorized boats that are going by. Also, Sage fits in here with us, and Sage is terrified of water. And so having a boat where she doesn't get wet is really...
What would we do to upgrade this? 1, the paddles.
Get new
that feels
paddles.
obvious.
Maybe get new seats.
I would get new seats, and I would actually get a piece of plywood that I could put on the bottom so that we could actually fasten the seats to something. I've seen a couple people do that, putting a hard floor bottom in as well as some upgraded seats. And that's pretty much it. I'm Kodiak. This is Alicia. We're the Noco Nomads. We travel about in a self-converted van. If you like this kind of content, adventuring, yoga, mountain biking, van life, photography, you know, the stuff that we like,
Everything.
give us a follow. Give us a follow.
Hit that bell.
Leave your comments down below if you have any. Let us know what you think the best water adventure vehicle, I guess, is for van life.
This is so cute. It's cute. Bye.
And this is definitely coming with us to Florida.